Em, and I'm back today with another creature feature, the series where I pick an animal and tell you lots of facts about them. Today we're going to be looking at bonus weasels,
Ferrets, carpet sharks, woozles, fur slinkies, cat snakes, falcor, stink weasels.
Yup, today we're going to be looking at ferrets. If you haven't already, remember to hit that subscribe button down below, become part of the creature crew, and also hit that notification bell down in the corner there so you don't miss a single upload. Take a good long look at this creature. It might look like a rodent, but it's actually not a rodent. Ferrets are in the Mustela family, so they're more closely related to weasels and badgers and stoats. They're actually not rodents, but they are bred for hunting rodents, which we'll come on to in a little while. Do ferrets smell? Yes, ferrets do have a musty odor, and this is an odor which can transfer to your hair or your clothes if you rub your ferrets on you. Now my jacket is gonna smell like ferrets.
Have you been handling ferrets?
Why, yes, Danny. Yes, I have.
The worst smell for ferrets is if you don't clean out the ferrets on a regular basis, because they have carnivorous little poops, which smell horrendous. Now for some ferret terminology. An intact male ferret is called a hob, and an intact female ferret is called a gill. A neutered male is called a gib, and a spayed female is called a sprite.
A group of ferrets is called a business.
On average, ferrets will live between 6 and 10 years. Unlike nocturnal animals, which wake up at nighttime, or diurnal animals, which wake up during the day, ferrets are a crepuscular species. Crepuscular. Crepuscular meaning that they actually are most active at dawn and at dusk. Contrary to popular belief, ferrets do not occur anywhere naturally in the wild. The only wild ferret is the black-footed ferret of North America, which is critically endangered. However, due to ferrets being released to control populations of rabbits in New Zealand, they are invasive in New Zealand. And it's for this reason that the ferrets in America are sold desexed, so they cannot have any babies in case they escape into the wild and become an agricultural pest.
Ferrets are a domestic species. The Latin name for the domestic ferret is Mustela putorius furo, which roughly translates to stinky little thief. That accuracy though.
The domestic ferret is bred to have lots of different colours, but the most popular colour is this colour, which is the sable mask, which is the most like their wild counterparts, the European polecat. With the breeding of the domestic ferret, and with ferrets gaining more popularity as pets in recent years, different coat types have also been developed. Angoras and semi-Angoras have been gaining popularity in recent years. And speaking of coats, just like their cousins, the mink, ferrets are also bred to produce fur for the fur industry. A fur coat made from the fur of a ferret is called a fitch coat. Ferrets are pretty intelligent, so they can be taught how to walk on a leash and how to use a litter pan. But they're also smart enough to understand no and to not care when you say no. So a ferret is not for you if you don't like a creature that's going to be a little bit of a challenge and a bit mischievous. That's you. You're a challenge and mischievous. When ferrets are excited, they perform something called the weasel war dance. So if you see ferrets acting like this is not an aggressive behavior, this is play. Let's talk about ferrets and sports.
Have you ever heard of ferret legging? Ferret legging is a sport where people, typically men, put 2 ferrets down their trousers and see who can stand the longest. The ferrets will scratch and bite to try and find their way out, so this can get pretty painful for the competitors.
I did a bit of research into ferret legging. It's not something I've ever personally participated in, but I believe that the record stands at 5 hours. Which is both incredibly cruel and incredibly brave. It's thought that ferrets were domesticated around 2,500 years ago from either the Western or European polecat. This is some footage I took of a European polecat at the British Wildlife Centre in London.
For centuries, ferrets have been popular pets for the royalty, clergy, and the nobility. We know this through historical portraits such as Lady with an Ermine, painted by one of my personal heroes, Leonardo da Vinci, and this painting of Queen Elizabeth I and her pet ferret.
For about 100 years, all the way up until the late 1300s, it was illegal to keep a ferret unless you were royalty, a very high-ranking church official, or if you had an income of over 40 shillings a year. Now, 40 shillings doesn't sound like much, but it really was a huge amount back in the day. In today's money, 40 shillings would be hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if you keep ferrets, you're basically royalty. 700 years ago. Ferrets sleep a lot. In fact, they go into something called a dead sleep, which is where they appear dead, where they look like they're hardly breathing and you can barely detect a pulse. Sometimes in dead sleep, they have their tongues sticking out and you can move them around for minutes at a time without any sign of movement.
Do you go into dead sleep sometimes? Mwah. Yes, you've scared me many times.
And speaking of sleep, it's thought that ferrets actually experience more REM, which is rapid eye movement sleep, which means that they're more likely to dream than other pets. The reason why ferrets are super slinky and melty is because they have elongated vertebrae, which basically means that they have the ability to melt into the floor and disappear into crevices. I'm not even joking. I know my hips don't lie.
The spines of ferrets are super slinky. This is because their vertebrae are proportionally longer than many other animals. This makes them almost snake-like in their ability to slip into impossibly tight spaces. Ferrets are also popular in Europe and the UK for hunting rabbits. Hunters will put ferrets down rabbit holes, and the ferrets' slinky spines enable them to move through the warren and flush out the rabbits. People do this to catch the rabbits as food for their ferrets and for themselves, as well as simply just for sport. Many ferreters favor using albino or albino ferrets when hunting, as it makes them stand out against the landscape and from rabbits.
Ferrets have not just been useful throughout history for hunting and providing us with food and companionship. Nope. Ferrets have also been used in the media for entertainment. One of the most popular weddings ever televised in history was that of Prince Charles and Princess Diana, and their wedding was televised around the world to this many million people. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's that many million people. Emma's brain failed. And this would never have been possible without the help of ferrets, who ran cables along underground. Ferrets were once again employed for the Millennium Concert at Greenwich Park. And it's not just in the media where ferrets have been employed.
In fact, until the 1960s, the aircraft manufacturers Boeing used ferrets to run cables through their aircraft. They were eventually replaced with robots because the ferrets would often get distracted and fall asleep on the job. Hashtag relatable. The first ferrets to reach America are thought to have been in the 18th century, which were employed on ships as ratters to keep the vermin away from food stocks. The USDA used to promote ferrets as rodent control, and you could call a special Ferretmeister, yes, that was the official title, the Ferretmeister, to come and deal with your farm rodents.
Hello, my little fur sausage. Let me love you. Let me love you. Let me love you. He chose death rather than love. Mwah. Diet-wise, ferrets are an obligate carnivore. Obligate carnivore. Obligate carnivore meaning that they only and exclusively eat meat. In the USA and in the UK, some people do like to feed a formulated diet which is protein-based but comes in the form of a biscuit. This is a very popular choice for a lot of ferret owners, but the most healthy ferrets are raised on a pure raw food diet of rabbit, pigeon, quail, and lots of different meat cuts. Being an obligate carnivore means that ferrets do not have the ability to actually digest or benefit from any grains or vegetables. So if you're going to be feeding your ferrets a pre-formulated diet, it's best to go with a ferret formula which is at least 36% protein. Ferrets are prone to a number of diseases such as cancers, tumors, and adrenal disease. If you happen to have the flu, it's best to stay away from ferrets because ferrets actually have the ability to catch the human flu. This is why many medical institutions test on ferrets to help develop flu vaccines. So if you happen to have the flu at home, don't touch your ferret, wash your hands in between feeding them or changing their water, and keep them somewhere well ventilated. These days, the flu isn't particularly fatal to us humans,
Unless you have the man flu.
but it can be fatal to your ferrets, so just be safe if you have the flu.
Ferrets can contract rabies and distemper, so it's a good idea to vaccinate your ferrets.
However, ferrets are actually illegal in some countries and states, so you have to make sure that if you're going to keep ferrets that they are legal, and some even require permits.
Although ferrets can make amusing, rewarding, and medium maintenance pets, it's important to remember that they are predators and it's best to keep them away from other small animals just in case this triggers their predatory instinct. Dobby has a very keen predatory instinct and will try to overpower and stash toys, shoes, and even children. I'm not joking, she is not friendly to kids. Niffler has no instinct for anything other than eating or sleeping and basically being about as dynamic as a banana. But I still won't trust him around small animals.
And that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's creature feature. If you did, leave a comment down below and let me know what your favorite fact was, or if you learned something different, or if you have a fact that wasn't mentioned in this video, leave a comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in another video soon.